Council members, please come.
This is for the continuing, or for Successor?
No, this is, we are now starting the Successor.
I am here then.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Friedman is present. Najarian?
Here.
Montero?
Here.
Weaver?
Here.
Mayor Sinanian.
Here. What's next?
The agenda for the June 3rd, 2014 joint public meeting of the City Council and Successor Agency was posted on Friday, May 30th, 2014 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Before you is a public hearing, Director of Economic Development regarding proposed Lumley Lofts project located at 111 East Wilson and 215 North Maryland Avenue. Agreement regarding development and operating covenants. 1A is a council resolution approving an agreement regarding development and operating covenants. I am between the City of Glendale, Wilson, Maryland, Mixed Use LLC and Lumley Glendale LLC, making certain findings in connection therewith and authorizing execution and implementation of said agreement.
Yes, Mr. Ochoa?
Yes, sir. This is like, this particular project is kind of like a movie that's been remade many times, and so you've seen different versions of it, and we are hoping that this is the final definitive version of it. They got caught up in the dissolution of redevelopment, and so at this point we have taken all of the information from the Department of Finance, State Department of Finance, and together with our development partners have brought to you now what we hope is the one true final deal structure that Mr. Lanzafame, our Economic Development Director, will take you through. Well,
Mr. Lanzafame?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and Successor Agency, as Mr. Ochoa said, you have seen this project several times. The design hasn't changed since November of 2011. We've had to restructure it several different times for several different reasons. But just to review, this is the project, the Lumley Lofts project. There are 42 units above a commercial component that has a 5-screen Lumley Theater. There's 6,000 square feet of commercial space, and we understand that the Panda Inn will relocate back into the project. They're currently on this site. And then the project provides 45 on-site parking spaces for residents. I wanted to take you through a bit of a history of the project, just so everyone knows how we got here. In March of 2011, the Redevelopment Agency approved an agreement that would contribute land and $1.5 million. There was no parking on the site at the time. We had made arrangements to have the residents park in the Exchange Garage. Sometime shortly thereafter, both the City Council, Redevelopment Agency, and the developer had second thoughts about that and decided that it would be best for the project if the project had subterranean parking. So we agreed to split the cost of that, and that was a total of 2.2, 1.1 for each of us. That was in November of 2011. That was right about the time that dissolution was being discussed, and the Supreme Court was considering the challenges that were made. Ultimately, the decision went against redevelopment, and this agreement that you entered into in 2011 was rendered void. However, the project entitlements remain valid. In October and through October to December, you authorized staff to enter into a different type of structure where we would continue to contribute the land in $2.6 million. There would be a level of subterranean parking. We would fund the $1.1 million through additional tax increment coming through the dissolution process, and we would share the revenue off the project with our taxing partners to make them whole. And we thought that that was the best idea. They all agreed to it. The Department of Finance rejected that notion for reasons we still do not agree with, but nonetheless they did. So now, at their direction, and kind of thinking about how we would do this project within similar boundaries, we still are, what we're doing is going back to the original agreement that the Department of Finance recognizes. We'll contribute the land in $1.5 million out of redevelopment agency reserves that have been held back. There will still be a level of subterranean parking. The city will fund $1.1 million under new legislation that allows cities to enter into these type of economic development agreements. And then the city retains all of the revenue. We do not share that with our taxing partners. The city retains all the revenue. That's the agreement that's before you today. along with the development agreement that was introduced last week. Particular to this agreement, it is the vehicle that will add the additional funding that the Department of Finance said go restructure that a different way. What we did is we took the terms relating to the additional contribution and those things that we were going to get for it. We pulled them out of the agreement and we listed them into a city agreement where the city is contributing $1.1 million. The developer will give us a covenant to operate the theater for a total of 15 years. And then there are administrative amendments that were authorized in the original DDA that will conform the two agreements. Fiscal impact, as is reported in the staff report, revenue from the project made up of taxes and fees and impact fees, $1.5 million. The city contribution is 1.1. There's a net benefit of over $400,000. So the staff is recommending that we enter into this agreement. Some of the other benefits, it is facilitating cultural arts and creating a broad draw to our downtown. It is good for pedestrian and sidewalk activities. It will be the northern anchor of our art and entertainment district. We believe there's definitely spin-off benefit. We can't quantify it, but we know it will happen. Those that are going to the theater will eat in our restaurants, shop in our stores. Those living there, same. There will be some temporary construction jobs and then some full-time jobs in both the theater and the restaurant. And then there is revenue to the other taxing agencies from this. That concludes staff's report. If you have any questions, certainly the staff that worked on this, legal counsel, as well as the developer team is here. I believe they have a presentation to give you as well.
Questions for staff? Okay, let's open the public hearing. We have one speaking card, Rodney Kahn. 5 minutes enough?
Yeah, it's more than enough. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and City staff. My name is Rodney Kahn. My offices are based here in the city of Glendale. Last week I came before you to give you a PowerPoint presentation on this project. And what I'd like to do in the interest of time is give a very abbreviated version of that. Councilman Najarian was not here last week. I'd just like to touch on a few points that I think are important for you to note. We actually started working on this.
I've been with this project for 4 years, Rodney, so you should be asking me the questions.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I'll keep it even briefer then. We started working on this project back in 2010. And as was mentioned, it was the northern anchor of the Arts and Entertainment District. And there were a few different important components. One was bringing the Limley Theaters to the city of Glendale. The other was retaining the Panda Inn restaurant, bringing them back into the project, and then also the 42 residential units, along with the 45 on-site parking spaces. This is a condominium project, which is a little bit different than what we're seeing for a lot of the projects in the downtown area. This is an ownership project. So the commercial space will be subdivided. The Limleys will own their space. The Panda Inn will own their space. And then the 42 residential dwelling units, they could be owned for people looking to buy their units in the downtown area. Real briefly, to go back to the design. The design of this project, very unique and very different. One, we have an iconic creative sign on the corner, the Limley sign. The second was the coloring and the treatment of the exterior of the building. We went back and forth on that quite a bit, if you remember. And we ended up with a very, very, what we think, handsome blue, dark blue panel for the exterior of the building. And I think the conclusion, the consensus was that this project will be a landmark. It will be something that all of us collectively will be very proud of. I'll conclude my remarks and just state we're very excited about the possibility of this project moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Khan, do you know yet where your staging area for construction will be?
I would have to defer that to our construction manager who's here, Mr. Tollison.
I'm just curious. You already know my position, but.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Question, Mr. Weaver?
Mr. Khan, do you know yet where your staging area for construction will be? I would have to defer that to our construction manager who's here, Mr. Tollison. I'm just curious. You already know my position, but. You're going to be blocking off streets for construction, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Weaver. We're accustomed to building tight infill sites of this nature. We have typically staged on one street frontage when you have a corner site like this, so we'll be seeking a sidewalk closure on one frontage to use as our staging area, and then once the podium is completed, we'll use the area on site that's created. Once there's room on the site, we'll move to that area.
Because I thought you'd be in the public parking lot across the street, because there's no way you can take a lane off of Wilson.
We
It's
won't
already
be into
only
the
one.
street. It would be in the sidewalk right of way.
In the what?
On the sidewalk from the curb into the building site.
That I got to see.
It's tight, but it's doable, and we're
Okay.
accustomed to doing it.
Okay, no other questions? I have a question for Mr. Lanzafame. The net project benefit, which is at $413,000. Now, that's over what time period? 15-year
It's a
period?
net present value looking at the revenue stream over 30 years. The property tax has been discounted at 5%, the sales tax at 6%.
Okay. That's all I have. I'm going to close the public hearing. Yes.
Hey, I have also been commenting on this. 4 years, it seems more like 40. I'm very happy. I guess this will be the last time it appears before us. I'm very happy that we have struck a deal. As I told some of the other council members, Saturday night there was a flamenco performance at the Alex, and at the end of the performance, some of the performers walked out. We were going to go out for a bite. Walked out of the Alex, turned to the right, and it was completely and utterly dark. There wasn't any activity on that portion of Brand. You look to your left, and down at the Americana and Broadway, there was a lot more activity. And I think this is going to be a major key in bringing traffic, bringing pedestrian traffic to this part of Brand, and obviously to the little promenade there, etc. So it's a tremendous opportunity for us. I'm just happy the developer and the Lemley Theaters and the Panda Inn, I'm glad that they all managed to work together. And I want to thank the staff for all of the back and forth with the state, including the city attorney's office. But we finally have a deal, and I'm looking forward to the group breaking ground and putting together a tremendous project. It's going to be truly it's going to make an impact on Glendale, and it's going to help the new theater that's opened up. I think both venues are going to really help that central portion of Brand.
Very well. Mr. Weaver?
No.
Yes, Mr. Najarian.
This was before us many, many years ago. Much has changed in the downtown area. This came to us at a time where we were practically begging to have housing and businesses and retail and fun activities. And I did support it then, and the developer did make a significant modification to accommodate an entire level of subterranean parking at that time and modify the design. I did support this then. I'm going to keep to my word and my earlier commitment to support it now. I do like the fact that there is a possibility of ownership. We don't have many ownership units in the downtown. I think that's a big factor for myself. I think an owner of a unit has a much different, has much deeper roots in the community than someone that's perhaps down the street at the Elevate Lofts in a 600 square foot studio. But I will support this, and I do wish them good luck and thank them for sticking through the ups and downs of the obliteration of redevelopment and the ultimate revival and the city's efforts to make this deal happen.
Ms.
Just
Friedman?
one thing to add, I agree. I've been a supporter of this project from the beginning, and I think it's going to do a lot to bring pedestrian traffic and people to Northern Brand, especially to patronize the restaurants up there, because I do think that when people go to the movies, a lot of times they want to have dinner at the same time or lunch, so I think it's going to be very helpful. One thing I want to add is that as far as I know, at least it was this way, shake your head if I'm wrong, Lemleys are a partner in this building. Is that correct? So they're going to be co-owners. Oh, hi, Greg. They're going to be co-owners in the building, which means that they have a real stake in it. Some people have said what happens if Lemley just decides to move out in a year. It's not going to be so easy for them to do that since they co-own the building. And they're going to do whatever it takes, I know, to make this theater successful. And if it's half as successful as the theater in Pasadena, it's going to be very successful. And it may bring people to five-star cinemas, too. It could be a whole sort of movie area up there. And with the Alex, and it would be great in the future if the Alex and these two cinemas can do film festivals together, with the Alex as a main screen and these as the ancillary screens. You now have a facility that's capable of doing a real film festival type event. So that'll be next, but first let's build the building. Thanks so much for your patience.
Great. Well, I support the project. I haven't been with it for 4 years, like the rest of you, but it's a good project. All those sentiments about northern part of Brand in downtown Glendale, I share. It's absolutely true. In the evening, unfortunately, anything north of really California is closed, dead. Nothing. No businesses are open. There's no pedestrian traffic. And not only is this project a good project on its merits, but also, hopefully, it will give some life to the northern part of Brand. So, with that in mind, is someone going to move this for approval?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Council members: Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Caro,
Yes.
Weaver,
Consistent with my comments on this project for the last 4 years, and with my discussion with Mark Nathanson, hi Mark, I'll be voting against this project. Thank you.
Mayor Sinanian.
Yes. So, what's next?
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned at 3:50.